This is a very historic ship. It unusually for that time, Queen Mary christened it in 1934 with King George V and the Prince of Wales by her side. A year or two later, in 1936, when he was King Edward VII, the future Duke of Windsor came and launched the ship. So it had its royal connections from the very beginning. The Duke and Duchess of Windsor, the former Edward VII and Wallis Warfield Simpson, traveled extensively on the Queen Mary for many years. The Duke and Duchess of Windsor were basically persona non grata in Britain after the abdication and their marriage. An interesting story with the Duke and Duchess of Windsor is that when Queen Elizabeth II was Princess Elizabeth, and she and Philip Mountbatten set their wedding date for the 20th of November 1947. But the Duke and Duchess had not received invitations as of early November. So the Duke decided to take the Queen Mary to New York, using the excuse that the Duchess had a small estate to be settled in the States. So on the 11th of November, 9 days before the wedding, they took off on the Queen Mary and went to New York. Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, in her youth was a very, very beautiful young woman. She was the daughter of the Earl of Strathmore, a Scottish aristocratic family. George VI, when he was Prince Albert and was the second son of George V and the brother of the future Duke of Windsor, fell in love with her, and he wanted to marry her. And so he talked to his father about it, and his father thought it was a splendid idea. She had an exquisite background. She was a lovely young lady. So he proposed to Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, and she turned him down. Well, he didn't quite know what to do about that. So he waited another year and saw more of her and tried to impress her more and proposed to her again. And again, she turned him down with the reasoning that she didn't really want to be a member of the royal family, because you certainly had to mind your P's and Q's and always be behaving properly. So she didn't really feel like she wanted to take that on and all the royal duties involved. King George and Queen Mary really, really wanted her in the family, and her own parents wanted her to marry him. It was a perfect marriage. King George and Queen Mary were inviting her more and more to functions the royal family were holding, so she and Albert could really get to know each other more. When Albert proposed for the third time, Elizabeth accepted him. She had started to be very, very fond of him and even to fall in love with him. He was really a very dear man. She was the most important thing in his life, and when he would make speeches, one time she was actually heard to say it because poor Albert had quite the stutter. When he finished his speech and turned around to go to sit down, she said to him, "Well done, Bertie." She was a great wife and mother.